to the Artful Teaching Podcast, where teachers are brought out of isolation and into conversation. We're your hosts, Callie Phlox.
And I'm Heather Francis. In an era where educators experience mounting pressure to set the arts aside, we work to increase the quality and quantity of arts education in Utah schools, including dance, drama, music, visual arts, media, and literary arts.
We spotlight professional educators as artists and leaders to examine how the arts deepen student learning and improve school culture. We are excited to present their perspective on the art of teaching. We're glad you've joined us. Welcome to Artful Teaching. I'm Callie Phlox. I'm here with Kelleen Leslie, fourth grade teacher in Salt Lake County, for the next episode of our series on how teachers have responded to the COVID environment. Kelleen integrates both visual and performing arts into her curriculum to engage students and improve learning. She will share her expertise about how she has adapted her instruction to meet the needs of students during this difficult time.
Teaching online is not fun. It's just hard.
It is hard. I've never worked so hard.
It's so funny because we've got kids that have come back from being online, and I got a new student last week. Tuesday was his first day, and he's really bright. He's a great kid, nice kid. And I said, Luke, how come you were online? Well, I thought it was going to be easier, but it wasn't. It was a lot harder. So I wanted to come back. And I think a lot of kids thought because of the spring was much easier because we weren't prepared. We weren't prepared and we weren't expecting a lot of things, and we didn't follow. I shouldn't say we, the district wouldn't let us follow through with a lot of things and holding them accountable. And they thought it was going to be the same way.
So Kelleen, paint us a picture of your classroom, how your day is, and how it's been since the beginning of the year.
Thanks, Kelly. I teach fourth grade, and it is very different, and in some ways, very much the same. So I have 26 students. We have plexiglass up. Of course, as you talked, we've got hand sanitizer and wipes, and we're always trying to follow that protocol and keep cleaning. But it's been very interesting because the students have been real troopers. They were so excited to be back in class that they're willing to keep their masks on. They're willing to, the desks are faced forward. We can't do group work and we can't share supplies, even passing out papers. I have to pass them out individually. I can't have a student helper do it. Gathering those papers, all those little things that you never think about, I'll never take for granted again because it's a lot of work and it makes it a harder day. When they came back, I thought they would have a harder time getting back into the routine of classwork, but they didn't. I think they were just eager to have anything after being out for 5 or 6 months. And I have an amazing class that is usually seems to be on their best behavior. And I don't know if that's because they feel like if they're not, they're going to have to go back home again or something. But teaching looks different. I don't walk around the room as much as I used to. Kneeling down by a student's desk and working over their shoulders and showing them what to do. We really try to limit that. Sitting down more behind a desk with plexiglass, and that's really hard. All of these things that we know are not good practice that we have to do as teachers has been hard. But I love being there with the kids. I love that they want to be there. Masks are hard because we can't see the student's whole face. And I don't think I ever realized how much we as teachers read our students' faces to know how they're feeling, whether it's about the math assignment they're doing or just the altercation they had at a recess. We can't see that. And there's a lot that can be seen through the eyes, a lot of expression, but there's still a lot that we're missing. And so that's been hard because we can't read our students' emotions and feelings with those masks on. And then they can't see me smirk when I say a joke, and they take it too seriously, right?
Because they can't tell you're teasing.
Because they can't tell that I'm joking.
So thank you for the hard work that you do and the hours that you put in. Thinking of your daily routine, what's different this year in your daily routine with your students? What kinds of things are you required to do to keep people safe?
We have to clean our desks, or clean the tops of their desks, of course, before they come to school in the morning, and then we'll do it again at lunchtime, and then at the end of the day. And then, of course, our custodians come at the end of the day, and they will also spray and sanitize the rooms. So that's different. Always, we have hand sanitizer all around the room, and then continually reminding the students that they need to wash their hands for 20 seconds. We have to encourage the kids that they can't get up out of their seats and go over to their neighbor's desk. We know that turning to your neighbor and sharing is a really good teaching strategy. Group work is good teaching strategies. We can't do those. Singing. I love to sing in my classroom, and we've really tried to limit that. I always would go out into our commons area, and we would do movement. We would dance. We would create tableaus. We would do all this that I don't do anymore because of the kids needing to distance. While it's been good weather, I love to take the kids outside. They get 6 feet apart, and they can take a little mask break. And so we've been going out with our sketchbooks and sketching the trees or sketching things out there. And for me, that's been a nice little break for them. They've loved that. With the weather changing, I don't know quite how we're going to do that. But so the day is very different. And like I said, when I do our projects, we have community supplies, but once they've used them, then I have to quarantine them for 3 days or sanitize them all. Just all of those things you never think about. The kids down in the lunchroom have to be separated, and even walking down the hall, we're trying to keep them somewhat a few feet apart. And they forget, as we all do, but they're troopers.
So what kind of support do you get from administrative leaders and for parents or from colleagues, other places? What is it that's helping you do your job?
I think one of the things is understanding that we're all in this together. I think about our front office and all the questions they have to field. And if a child feels sick, they have to go down there. We have a quarantine room, all of these things that has made their lives different too. And I think we're all just trying to take care of each other. Our PTA, every other Friday, brings us Sonic drinks, just as a little thank you. Little things like that just are huge. And parents are always, what can I do? What can I bring? What kind of supplies do you need? Just one more thing that makes you feel like you're not in it alone.
Is there some place that you wish you had support? If you could ask somebody for support, if you could tell somebody what teachers needed, who would you tell and what would you tell them?
I guess one of the things that I really would love to say is, let's take care of our students and their emotional health and their well-being. And it's okay if we don't give them the standardized test at this time today. It's okay if they don't, get 80% or above on that math quiz that they were supposed to take, that we have to report to the district or something like that. I think just right now, helping them enjoy being in school, feeling safe, is such an important thing. And I know that so many of the powers to be are so afraid that our kids are going to be so behind and, that it's really going to cause problems. And right now, that's not our worry. I mean, that's not our concern. These kids need to feel good about themselves and have some confidence building experiences. And they can learn a lot in a classroom without having to jump through the hoops of taking a test. So yeah, that's you tell what kind of teacher I am now.
Mm-hmm. You and I are together in that Wednesday night class with groups of teachers. And there have been weeks when the teachers come to class in tears. Mm-hmm. One night, the subgroup I was with, every teacher in the subgroup said that they had cried every day that week. As the tide goes up and down, sometimes the stresses grow and sometimes things seem calmer. Mm-hmm. And it all depends on that COVID wave and what they're managing at that time. What have you seen at your school about how the teachers are managing their social and emotional health?
That's interesting because we do have teachers that some days are shedding lots of tears for a lot of different reasons. It might be for their students, it might be for them, it might be for their family. I tend to have a listening ear. I'm a little bit older, and in the school, I have teachers that will come and talk to me about the things that they're going through. And I think sometimes just talking with somebody else is huge and not keeping it inside yourself. Had a cute, fairly new teacher that was so concerned about her students and how they were feeling about all of this. And she just felt like she couldn't do it. She just felt like it was just too much. And I think just being able to talk and share that, I think it's good for us to have someone to talk to. Our psychologist started a little mindfulness group that if anybody wanted to join, they could. And so different teachers at different times have been able to do that. I think taking care of yourself, making sure that you're eating well and sleeping and getting a little bit of exercise is really important. I see teachers that are close to me when they have some of those emotional days, it is because they didn't get a good night's sleep. And usually it's because they're worried about school, but they didn't get a good night's sleep or they feel the extra pressure of outside influences. And it's important to talk about it and realize that you're not alone. And I think another thing too, I think as teachers, we fall into a bad habit sometimes of comparing ourselves with each other or judging. And I think, especially at this time, we have to remember to be kind. And we have to remember that everybody is doing the best that they can. And we have to stick together. We should not be the ones that are pulling each other down. We should be the ones that are pulling each other up and helping each other through this.
So have you had days where you've ended up in tears and frustration?
I have. And sometimes it takes me by surprise because I didn't know that emotion had built up. I didn't know that I was under that amount of stress. I think sometimes it can be triggered even just by, I have a student, to leave the classroom or to leave the school, we bump elbows. Well, I don't actually, we bump elbows. And instead of the high five or the hug or something. And I had a student just last week, and she said, Mrs. Leslie, I'm so tired of just bumping elbows. All I want is a hug. And I looked at her and I said, you know what, sweetie, we just can't hug right now. And I got emotional and she started to walk away. And I said, wait a minute, come back here. And I gave her a hug. We turned our faces away from each other, but I gave her a hug. And she just melted. I mean, I didn't realize, and she surprised me. She's not one I would have thought would have ever said that. But I thought there are little things like that are triggered by that. And then sometimes just the amount of work that we have to do. We have parent-teacher conferences coming up, and we will be doing them through Zoom and trying to get things ready for that, even just making sure the parents have the link and know their time slots. I think sometimes just the weight of that will make me emotional. And then not knowing what's in front of us. I think in my head, I just think, spring's going to be better. Spring is when I can do all these things that I haven't been able to do. And we don't know that. I do have those emotional days. I do cry sometimes on my way home from school. And I don't know that they're even sad tears. I think it's just emotional release sometimes. Just that you put on your happy face. You're so busy and you're trying to take care of the kids and you're trying to teach, and you start the drive home. And I have a little bit longer drive, and it just all the floodgates open, and I feel better once I get home. But yeah.
We're in Utah. We're having more COVID cases. How has that impacted your classroom?
So you have a child that doesn't show up to class, and maybe the first day I don't worry about it. The next day I think, oh no, is this child going to be quarantined? Does this child have COVID? If this child has COVID, how's that going to affect the 8 or 9 students that are sitting around them? And then once that child is quarantined, they're gone for usually about 2 weeks. And then you have to prepare for them and help them learn. And it's, I remember my first student that got quarantined, and they called her out of the classroom, and she looked at me and she says, why am I going home? Why? And I said, oh, I don't know, sweetie. This little girl was crying on the way out of school, still not knowing why, because she didn't want to leave. And these kids want to, like I said, want to be here. And so that's really hard. At the same time, my cute mom is 92 years old, and I get to see her every once in a while. I want to keep myself healthy so that I can see her.
So when it gets hard, when you get tired and exhausted, what is it that you do to take care of yourself?
It doesn't sound funny. I do the brain dance every morning with my students. And I've realized that I'm really not doing it just for them. I'm doing it for me. I love starting the day with that. I think I make sure that I try to have some physical exercise. I love being outside. I love being outdoors. Music is a great way to kind of unwind and to give myself some time. And then I am trying really hard to make sure that I'm getting enough sleep. I'm a real night owl and I'm a morning person. And so I don't need a lot of sleep, but I've been trying to get a little bit more to take care of myself that way. And just the thought of saying to myself, I need to take care of myself. Just that thought is so important.
What is it about visualization that changes things for you?
Oh, I think visualization takes over any of the negative or sad or things that are going on sometimes. For me, if I start to visualize, I can really focus. I love the idea of focusing on something inside of me or something that I do. And I think it also lets me realize that I do have control. I have control over myself. I have control about how I react to things that are going on around me. And that's nice. I like that.
Yes. How about if I relaxed and you talked me through your favorite mindfulness activity?
Oh,
and
wow.
Any of our listeners could join you, or if they're busy, they can just listen. How about if you talk me through it?
So close your eyes.
Okay, my eyes are closed.
And take some slow, deep breaths. As you sit there, think about the sounds that you hear. And it may not be very noisy, but there is always some kind of sound. And maybe it's just from your own breathing. Take yourself out of your body and go above where you are. So as you look down, you see yourself sitting with your eyes closed, peaceful, calm. You can look around and see what you see. And if you took yourself out of the room that you're in, out of the building that you're in, what do you see? Are you moving quickly? Are you moving slowly? Do you have control of where you're going? As you're doing this, make sure you're still listening for any sounds that you hear right now. And as you focus on those sounds and as being above everything that's there, find a thought that brings you joy. And as you make your journey back to where you're sitting right now, bring that thought with you.
How do your students respond when you do visualizations with them?
Oh, They eat it up. They eat it up. They're so good about closing their eyes and imagining being someone or something. And then we do it with our eyes open a lot of times too. And I'll do it when we're doing a story or characters. I just feel like it gives them empowerment too, to know that they can control what they're thinking and they can make themselves create and think what they want. The first day of school was stressful. We didn't know what to expect. All the teachers were outside. We were having the kids line up, and the principal walks around and he has a student with him. And the student knew that he was going to be in fourth grade, but he didn't remember his teacher's name. The principal came up to us and said, "This young man is lost. He doesn't know where to go." And I just said to him, I said, "What's your name?" And he told me his name, and it's a little bit of a unique name. And I looked at it and I said, "Oh, I'm Mrs. Leslie. You're in my class." And he looked at me and he ran up to me and he gave me the biggest bear hug that I could have ever wanted. And I stepped back. I was so shocked. And I said, "Oh, we're not supposed to hug, but that's the best thing that's happened to me in a really long time." And I think it was just so great for me to realize that these kids were so excited to be here. He was nervous, scared, didn't even remember my name, but he wanted that. And so that's the thing, that story just brings me so much joy. And I just love that he, in all his nervousness and fear, wanted to give me a hug.
And I like that both of your stories have to do with hugs. A girl who had the courage to ask for one, and a little boy who had the courage to give one.
Yep. It just shows what we are in desperate need of because we don't get it very much.
Yeah, that's a rough thing about this time. I hope that when children go home, the parents were able to take lots of cuddle and snuggle time with them.
I hope so. And the hard part is those parents are as stressed as everybody else. And the kids feel it, and so I hope that at some time and there are moments that they can make that connection with their families. Well, and I think, Callie, there's so many things and all that going on. I think we just have to focus on what's really important. And I know our jobs are important and our finances are important and our health is important, but just taking the time to love each other and take care of each other right now is the most important thing.
I know that you have enjoyed the arts in your classroom a lot. Could you please take a minute and share with us how the arts have been a part of your classroom, your life, and especially during COVID?
I'm passionate about including the arts in my classroom. I think it gives children something that they can't get with anything else that is being taught. And it strengthens their confidence and their problem solving and their critical thinking skills and all of those things. But I think most of all, it brings joy. And I want joy in my classroom. I want the students to have fun, and I want to have fun. And the arts do that. And through COVID time, I am doing everything I possibly can. My art may look different. We may not be singing and dancing as much, but giving the kids an opportunity to just even stand at their desks and make faces or do a little vocalizing or pantomime their spelling words or just little things like that bring joy. And I want to make sure that I don't forget that, because when I do forget that, those are the days I cry more. Those are the days that the kids have a harder time. And when I make sure every day that I try to include every art, those days are beautiful. And those kids walk away being really excited about having been there. And that makes a difference in my life and I think in theirs.
Thank you, Kelleen. I feel lucky to have you as a colleague and as a friend. I'm very grateful for the time that you took with us today. I have seen great things come out of your students, and I've been in your classroom and felt that joy. Thank you for being with us today and for sharing your expertise. Do you have any final words?
I do. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate being able to rub shoulders with you. And I know you know this, but I want to reiterate it. I am where I'm at right now because of you and because of your influence and your passion for what you do with the arts and teaching teachers. And so thank you. Thank you for making this journey so pleasurable and so meaningful for me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Artful Teaching is made possible by the BYU Arts Partnership in the McKay School of Education. Thanks to Montgomery Media Arts Institute for the production of this podcast. And special thanks to all the teachers who are changing lives while serving in schools.
If you like what you heard, please leave us a review. You can find all our episodes at advancingartsleadership.com. I'm Heather Francis.
And I'm Callie Phlox, wishing you an artful journey.